Two major storylines have defined Donald Trump's presidency in recent weeks. The first is growing concern over his cognitive and physical decline. At one point, rumors even spread that he may have passed away. The second is his ongoing effort to silence critics, attacking anyone who points out those struggles or challenges his narrative. Now, those two issues have collided in a damaging way for Trump. He was just caught trying to cover up signs of his own decline, attempting to keep the public from realizing how serious the situation has become. And the fallout is raising new questions about his health and his ability to lead. We're going to break that all down. But before we do, if you're finding value in this coverage, please hit the like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It really helps support our work. Now, before we get into how Trump was caught trying to hide this collapse, let's start with someone who called it out directly after his speech at Quantico. Here's Lawrence O'Donnell.
And I guess maybe we should accept Donald Trump's judgment about that one thing. That the madman orange makeup he slathers on himself makes him look better. Maybe it does. We don't know. Maybe the actual sight of the actual color of his 79-year-old skin is much worse than the orange clown confection that he chooses, but we don't know. Or maybe the orange junk on his face is yet another proof that the man has no capacity to make a judgment about anything, including the way he looks, never mind nuclear weapons. What was he thinking backstage when his Secretary of Defense, who had to promise to stop drinking to get confirmed by the Senate, insulted all of the commanding officers in the room with this kind of idiocy?
It's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are.
Okay, Pete. How about fat presidents? How about a president who has been fat every day of his political career? Is that a bad look? All of those generals can button their uniform jackets. All of those admirals can, every one of them. So there's the Secretary of Defense, who may or may not be managing his reported drinking problem, telling all of those commanding officers that they better never look as bad as Donald Trump, who can't even button his suit coat jacket. There was suspense in the room today when Donald Trump was giving his speech. There was no suspense about would he cross the line that you never cross with the military as president. Everyone knew he was going to do that. Everyone knew that he doesn't know there's a line. Everyone knew he was going to foolishly waste the admirals and generals' time telling them about how many swing states he wanted. And of course he did. The suspense in the room was whether the very, very tired, almost sleepy 79-year-old man at the microphone was going to make it through that 1 hour and 11-minute speech. And there were times in the middle of a sentence that it would seem like he just might drop right there, might not even finish that sentence. And what he seemed to be showing to the generals and the world is that he might not have the physical strength to make it through the 3 years, 3 months, and 20 days left of his presidency. Is that what has given J.D. Vance a spring in his step lately? Is that why the vice president looks so happy these days? Donald Trump has never looked physically weaker, or when he did today, weaker in every sense of that word, physically, mentally, because Donald Trump is uneducable. He still doesn't understand why he walked into a room of military commanders today and faced silence.
Thank you very much, Pete. Great job you're doing, too. Fantastic job.
Everyone can see just how unfit Donald Trump is. And that's why it was so funny for Pete Hegseth to be talking about fat generals and people who didn't look like they were in the shape necessary to bring respect to our country. Donald Trump is a bowl of orange porridge, like bursting out the sides as makeup drips off his face, Giuliani style. He's got a rat's nest on his head. He sounds like he's constantly in like a slurring, drunken, collapse. Like, what are you talking about? It's generals who are embarrassing us. Also, Pete, you look ridiculous all the time. Do you notice that Pete's like his sideburns are not even like, get a better barber. Stop with the ridiculous suits. And don't talk about how people look when Donald Trump is president right now. He is broken both inside and out. And the inside is what Donald Trump was just caught covering up. Google accused of blocking searches about Trump, 79, and dementia. Google has been accused of hiding AI search results when users seek information about whether 79-year-old Donald Trump has dementia. Typing the prompt, "Does Trump have dementia?" into Google's search bar did bring up a list of websites along with the message, "An AI overview is not available for this search," The Verge reported. The AI overview notice is no longer displayed at the top of the search results. When switched to AI mode, Google does not provide a generated summary of information. Instead, it displays the same top web page results for the query. This is also no AI summary if you search for the "whether Trump shows signs of Alzheimer's." By contrast, Google does provide an AI summary about 82-year-old Joe Biden, who has also faced questions about his mental acuity during his time in office. Assessing whether Joe Biden shows signs of dementia is a complex question with various perspectives and differing conclusions. Google's AI mode states, it also lists examples of why Biden may be experiencing cognitive decline or apparent signs of dementia. When you type, "Does Biden show signs of Alzheimer's?" into AI mode, the response also says the answer is complex with a complex question with no definitive answer, and that it remains elusive without a formal medical diagnosis. The AI summary presents both sides of the debate, noting that Special Counsel Robert Hur's report on Biden's handling of classified documents described the former president as a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. The Verge suggested Google might be worried about the president's response to questions about his alleged mental decline. YouTube, which Google owns, also agreed this week to pay $24.5 million to settle a lawsuit brought by Trump after his account was suspended in the wake of the January 6th attack on the Capitol in 2021. First, let's be clear. Giving in to bullies never works. If you hand over your lunch money once, the bully only comes back hungrier. That's exactly what we're seeing with Donald Trump. By settling lawsuits or backing down before the fight is even over, his opponents only encourage him to push harder. And here's the reality. Trump is clearly in decline. Yet platforms like Google make it harder for people to even find information on that decline, and the mainstream media rarely talks about it. That makes it even more important for us to show the truth. Donald Trump is not the strong figure he pretends to be. He's a frail, aging man trying to project power while lashing out at anyone who dares to point out the opposite. His attacks on free speech show just how panicked he is about people seeing his real condition. Representative Jasmine Crockett captured that perfectly when she called him out. Let's take a look.
The president has decided that he wants to shake down people as relates to the First Amendment because he has filed not one lawsuit, not two lawsuits, but he has filed numerous lawsuits. He filed a lawsuit against the New York Times. He filed one against the Wall Street Journal, against CBS, against ABC, against the Des Moines Register. He is doing all of this because he wants to quash any speech that is not appreciative or lauding him, which is pretty much anything that's factual. So let's talk a few facts about these January 6th felons that should still be incarcerated because they went through the process, but because they were doing things on his behalf, of course, he wanted to let them go. So they released more than 1,000 people who participated in the insurrection on this government, many of whom who had previous criminal records, like Mr. Theodore Mendenforth, who was convicted of predatory criminal sexual assault of a child, or Mr. Peter Schwartz, who had 38 prior convictions, including one where he beat his wife by repeatedly punching and biting her. Trump also pardoned Mr. David Daniel, who was convicted of production and possession of child pornography. Trump also pardoned Mr. Daniel Ball, who, quote, threw an explosive device that detonated upon at least 25 officers during the Capitol riot.
Donald Trump will continue attacking free speech for as long as people allow him to. When major media outlets, corporations, or institutions cave to his pressure, it only encourages him to push further. His abuse of power has been made possible in part because too many are afraid to stand up and resist this administration. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez put it best when she said this.
They are weaker than they look. And it is important that we remember that, because what they rely on is the impression of power, the perception of inevitability, in us giving up in advance to say, oh, what's going to happen if I stand up, etc. Nothing's going to happen. They rely on that perception of inevitability and power so that people comply in advance and acquiesce in advance and give up in advance. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump is at record levels of unpopularity in his tenure. The Republican House is at record levels of unpopularity. They are underwater across the board, and they know it. And that is causing them to double down in public, but it is backfiring. That is why, whether it's a shutdown, whether it's all of this, they want us to blink first. And we have too much to save. Protecting people is too important a task for us to give up before anything even starts. So they may want to send people in, but these National Guardsmen do not want to be turned against their fellow Americans. We're seeing this here in Washington, D.C. It is an insult. Donald Trump is insulting the service members of this country by putting them on these silly tasks that they themselves do not want to be enforced.
What we're witnessing right now is a former president who relies more on fear than on genuine strength. He wants people to believe that his rise is unstoppable. But that simply isn't true. He can be challenged, and he can be defeated, both in the courts and in the court of public opinion. The only way that continues to happen is if we don't back down. We need to raise our voices, stay strong, and keep pushing forward. That's exactly what we'll keep doing on this channel. If you'd like to support the work we do, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.